Hey, welcome back to another episode of Rubber Suit Reminisce. In the last one, we talked about the first episode of Kamen Rider Zi-O, and this time I'll be sort of talking about episodes 3 to 6, but it's less going to be specifically about them and the events within them, and more what I've realized about the show over the course of these last handful of episodes. So if you saw the first video I did on Zi-O, you'll know that I liked the premiere, but that I felt like it was kind of that it didn't really wow me, and I feel like for newcomers it would really turn them off. And when come episode 2, I didn't do a video on it, but one of my main complaints with that was that its attempts to explain its time travel and the rules that it had were insane and really didn't make any sense. One of the things I brought up in the first video was the Skywall existing in Build's universe, which it shouldn't, because the whole thing didn't it was a separate universe, and then they merged it into the main universe and all this other stuff. It's since been confirmed that the Build that we have seen in Zi-O's episodes was not actually the Build from the end of Build's own show, that this is a separate thing entirely. It's convoluted and weird and kind of insane. It's just a mess. The 2.5 episode that came out alongside the second episode attempted to explain the rules of Zi-O's world, and it handled things a lot better, but it still was left with a few questions that by episode 6 I'm still questioning. But as of that same episode, I've realized that the show doesn't care. And I don't mean that to disparage the show, because I think it's actually gotten better with this realization. Zi-O is a show that has problems and that is telling its time travel story in not the best way that it could. It's kind of falling into some of the same traps that a lot of bad time travel shows can do. Things are getting complicated and twisted, and you don't really know, like, it's messing with things, and you have stable time loops, essentially, where one event is the origin of itself, like Sogo giving a blank ride watch to Build and Croz, so that in the future they can give it to him so that he can have it to give it to them. Stuff like that, and that's happened in every episode so far, essentially. Zi-O doesn't really care about making the most sense. What it cares about is making sure that the viewer has a good time watching. It wants you to turn your brain off, because if you think you're going to be spending way too much time going over in your head all the ways in which this thing doesn't make sense, and you're going to completely miss all of this really awesome cinematography and all of these cool throwbacks to old Rider shows. It's a show that its top priority is just the viewer sitting back and having fun, watching some dudes in rubber suits fighting each other. And I appreciate that. And I think once you realize this about the show, it becomes a whole hell of a lot more enjoyable. There was a bit from the 2.5 episode that I saw a lot of people complain about, where they're explaining the rules, and one of the rules is just straight up, essentially, don't question things. And I saw, like I said, a lot of people complaining about that, saying that, this is them trying to just say that your complaints are invalid and you just shouldn't think about it. But I feel like that rule is the thing you need to abide by. It's not really saying don't question things. It's more saying stop thinking about it so hard and just sit back and enjoy the ride, which is something Decade never did. One of Decade's problems looking back, I think, is that it was trying to tell its own story and not really be a fun ride to just make the viewer have some fun. It was trying to tell a story, and it failed. Zi-O isn't really trying to do that. It has a story, but really only because it feels like it needs to. Really, in a perfect world, Zi-O doesn't have a story, and it's just, I'm gonna go through time and meet up with all the other writers, which probably would not have sustained itself. It has to have a story to really go, but that's not its main focus. Its main focus is Sogo going back and meeting up with the other writers and celebrating the last 20 years of Heisei, which I think it actually does really, really well. Less so in the Build episodes, because the Build episodes just didn't really have a lot of connection to Build itself, especially now that we know that it's not the same universe the show even ended with. But the X8 episodes, and especially the 4Z/5 episodes that we just got, have been fantastic tributes to the other Heisei era shows. The X8 episodes especially feel like X8 episodes. There's a lot of recurring themes, old gags they've brought back. The general plot is very much like the way X8 would have handled its episodes. And I really like that about the show. It's caring more about emulating the old Rider shows and paying tribute to them and referencing them and just making sure that the viewer has a lot of fun. A lot of that fun would probably be diminished if you hadn't seen those Rider shows. So this is, if the show continues in this direction, I feel like this is going to be one of those ones where I can't in good faith recommend it to newcomers. Something that I was expecting Zi-O to be early on was sort of Kamen Rider's Gokaiger, a show that you get the most enjoyment out of if you've seen most, if not all, of these shows, but that you could probably enjoy for the most part without it. But with these 6 episodes, I have to bring up one. I do have to bring up one complaint: is that it seems like it really does bank on the viewer having seen those shows. But since I have seen them, I'm not really going to complain about it. It's not a problem to me. And some people will cry foul on that. It's like, oh, well, you have to be objective. It's like, no, you don't. I don't care. Zi-O is a show that wants you to have fun. So listen to MST3K. Listen to Zi-O. Just stop. Think to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax. Turn off your brain and let Zi-O take you on a ride through the last 20 years of Heisei and just enjoy yourselves. So there you go. Little less of like a proper opinion piece about the individual arcs, but I really just wanted to talk about that little realization I had while thinking about these episodes, because I feel like that's more than what I really have to say about the episodes themselves. Because what I really have to say about the episodes is just, oh man, it's really cool that they brought back this thing and they referenced this thing, which is annoying. So I don't know what the frequency of Zi-O videos is going to be like going forward. If you haven't noticed, it's been like a month since the last one, because it's hard for me to think of things to say with these. So I can't guarantee that I will have a video for every build or for every Zi-O arc or for everything Zi-O does. I'll try to get some out in general, but content will go back to being regular. Like I said, I'm just not sure about Zi-O stuff in the future. But either way, that is going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, then you can subscribe and hit that bell notification, and hopefully YouTube will tell you when I've uploaded a new video. But on the off chance that they don't, then I always tweet when I upload something new, and my most recent video is always my pinned tweet. And also, when I can be bothered to do it, I tweet about things that I'm reading or watching or playing or whatever, so if you care for some reason, you can get sort of sneak peeks at the videos I'm going to be doing, because a lot of the times I'll tweet about a show, and then when I finish it, I'll make a video on it. That's there on my Twitter, which is linked in the description, as is my Patreon, so that if you really enjoy my content, then you can throw a couple bucks my way to support me, but you do not have to. And if you want to see some of the other stuff that I've done, then on screen right now are 2 of my previous videos. That's all for now, and I will see you guys next time.